Yeah, Alan Dixon, great fella, like George Dixon's brother, and they were proper nice people. I met them. I met Alan Dixon. I never met George. I met Alan Dixon in Albany in about 74, 75, and he was like, he was so funny, Alan. He was a nice guy, scar on his face. They reckon his brother George cut him. Well, I don't know how true it is, I don't know, but he had a nice scar down his face, Alan. But he's a proper, the geezer was just so funny. And there was another one with him called Frankie Kerrigan, yeah? Frankie Kerrigan come from Paddington areas around that area, and he was as nutty as a fruitcake Frank. He didn't care. Them people didn't care. They just like walk along the landing with no trousers on, and all that, just the best, you know what I mean? And walk down the stairs to get their breakfast in the morning, and all the screws, all the screws going mad, you know what I mean? Don't worry, we're all men. Go and put your trousers. No, don't worry. They come to the hot plate, you know what I mean? Naked, half naked, and finding the screws. And they walk by the screws and hit their hats and all that, you know. Sometimes they go over the top a little bit. You think, oh, here we go. But the screws let it go. They let it go. They let it go because they just want the nicks on smooth, yeah. But Frankie Kerrigan, he didn't give a monkey's, mate. He did not care. He used to walk. He used to walk round with hooch, like honestly, a big bottle of hooch like that, big, you know, the detergent bottle, like didn't care, just be drinking it and giving people hooch in the cups, and he didn't care. He just didn't care. But one day we all woke up and he'd gone. They must have come in late at night and just tied him up a bit, and he was gone, mate. I suppose they'd enough. And then there was Alan Dixon, which was exactly the same, but Alan's a little bit more, you know, he used to sing. Alan used to sing and get the screws at it, you know. Hello, and he used to talk like that, Alan, just for a laugh. And bet the guy was a guy that once you met him, you never forget him. Do you know what I mean? He's a proper nice man. And when I was in Albany, Lowell Gibbons, another one. Lowell was opposite me, and Lowell was opposite me in my spur. I met Lowell Gibbons when I came out of prison. I met him in Brixton, and he had a big car front there. And he introduced me to the guy that does the rings, that puts the rings up. Yeah, when I was doing the unlicensed fighting, because I wanted to do a lot of promoting, yeah, but like everything, I mucked it up. But Lowell Gibbons, good money getter, really good money getter, good looking guy, always wore glasses. His hair was always fuzzy grey. Yeah, Lowell Gibbons, nice guy. I met some terrific guys in prison, Albany, you know, some proper nice people. People that you know, you'd never meet again. You'd never see them again. Honestly, you'd never see them again. You know, like all the bird I've done. No, the only I see Alan Dixon when I was at Albany. Oh, sorry, when I was at Chelmsford. But a lot in there I'd never see again. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, Big John McDonough. When they got on the roof at Albany to go back to Ireland to see his mum and all that. You know, they didn't really care. They didn't care about them people. You know, Johnny Patton, another one. Johnny Patton, mate, when he got on the roof, he was the last one down. His kidneys had given way. His kidneys just collapsed with all the heat and all that. He was on his way out. He was, you know. But they put him in Winchester. He stabbed the guy to death in Parkhurst. And they put him in Winchester next to Bronson, is his name? Charlie Bronson. Put him next to him. You know, but Johnny Patton, nice, but a dangerous guy. He was just so inoffensive looking, right? But so dangerous. You get them people who are so, you look at them, they're not inoffensive, but they're so dangerous, yeah? They're quiet, but mate, dangerous. Yeah, I loved Albany. Peter Kelly was my best pal there. Peter Kelly, me and Peter Kelly got on really well. We had a lot of training, you know, and Peter looked after me. Peter Kelly looked after me, giving me more or less what I wanted. He liked me because of the way I was. I was very strong, very big, very powerful, always fighting, didn't care. You know, they like it, people like it. I was only young. You know, and my best mate, Togi, I mean, comes to my manor, Togi Ludlow. He was quite dangerous, Togi. He was dangerous. I loved that. I loved Albany. There were some good people there. Pat Adams. I met Pat in there. Pat and the Barrys, the two Barry brothers. Crikey, man. All them people. And there was proper, nice people, you know what I mean? People that you think, oh, you know, they run the nick. They run prison, you know. They run the prison, yeah. Like Pat. I mean, I thought I'd never see him again, but got involved with Pat in Albany. And then from there, Maidstone, and then you know, Pat became my pal. He became a good mate in Albany. I used to call him the antelope, Pat, when he used to run. Lawyer Man, another one, Lowell Man. Oh, mate, there was some good people in there, mate. Good people. People, proper gangster people with big records, you know what I mean? You hear about them later on in life, you hear about them like 30, 40 years down the line, you think, fucking hell, I was in Albany with him, or I was in Chelmsford with him, you know, I was in Maidstone with him, you know what I mean? And it's all in faces. Then I moved to Chelmsford. I mean, Chelmsford was a completely different place. I mean, me being in the kitchen and being in there, you know, and being in there with proper people. Ronnie Malloy, yeah? Ronnie Malloy was in the pantry, yeah? He was a silver bullion robber. And Ronnie Malloy, I liked him, man. I liked Ronnie Malloy. Even though he wouldn't give me nothing, he was a proper nice, fit old man. When I say old man, he's like, he wasn't that old really, but he kept his body was in good shape, always training badminton, yeah? Yeah, I liked him. Sam McCarthy, he was always, Sam McCarthy, sorry, go back to Albany. Sam McCarthy, Paul McDermott, I know Paul from Labatt Grove. Sam McCarthy, I met him in Brixton years ago when I was in Double A Cat. It was the Frankie Fellows, it was all them people, you know, all the Wilkinson, Bertie Smalls, they was there, I was there. And it's funny when you look at it, all them people that I've met, you know, crikey, man. And then when I was at Chelmsford Prison, and to meet, you know, some of them people, there's a guy that I met in Chelmsford Prison, he's called Joe Lott, yeah? Joe Lott, I don't know if I spoke about it before. Joe Lott, ginger guy, always talking about his wife. He done his bird hard, Joe. He did do it hard. But he had the accordion, big accordion. And he was always playing the accordion and singing. Good singer, Joe. Really good. Keith Gregory and Joe Lott were always together. Ginger Keith made me laugh, you know, because I had these tattoos on my hands, yeah, called Champ, yeah. And he said to me, oh, that's the A-Lot. That's what they have in their hands. And I said, I knew them, but Pat, obviously, I met Pat in Albany and in Maidstone, you know. Pat, nice fella, mate, Pat Adams. Dangerous man. He's a dangerous man, Pat. He is dangerous. You know, you can't really talk about him too much, but he was a pal of mine, Pat. Really nice guy, man. I met him on the road. Really nice with my mate Mickey Gooch. Related. There's some nice people, mate. But anyway, back to Chelmsford Prison. There's a geezer, there's proper, really, it's Frankie Fraser's times, yeah. There's a guy in there called Ray Rosa, the Rosa brothers, yeah. They were dangerous, mate. Little guys, glasses, two of them, yeah. The Rosas, right? Have anybody out there know the Rosa brothers, Ray Rosa? And I forget his brother's name, but one of them was in Chelmsford, Ray, and he was well respected, mate. He had a lot of people really respected him, mate, especially Frankie Fraser. Really respected him. Man, what Tony Lawrence, me and Tony, mate, close. Met Tony when I come out. Tony Lawrence was a dangerous man, mate. He was, you know. There's a big thing about him with the police, Chelsea and all around there. It's all hush-hush about Tony Lawrence. The big thing about Tony. I don't know what it is, yeah, but it's really big. It's really big. You know, lots about get to the bottom of it all, yeah. But Tony Lawrence was a famous man, and he was involved with Bindon, Lady Margaret, and all that shit. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things going on there, yeah. But I like Tony. I met Tony Lawrence on the street. Worked with Tony. Nice geezer, man. How many? Toby Ludlow, Terry Millman, Lou Swallow. Fucking hell, mate. Names. Proper names, you know. Big names. Obviously, there's bigger people in there that I didn't really hang around with them people. Didn't really know too much about them. Mickey Green. I like Mick. Mickey Green was absolutely minted. He was Keiko Mick. He had a lot of money. He wouldn't think so, but he wasn't a liberty taker. But I've seen him have a few fights. He can march on, Mickey Green. He can have a fight. I've seen him have a few fights there. What was his name? Tony, my mate's dad, Tony Edlin. Tony Edlin, mate. Nice geezer, always clean his teeth. Had these things sent in, always clean his teeth. And he had false teeth, not false ones, but you know, bridge like screwed in, but it was always cleaning them. And Tony Edlin, nice guy, mate. Him and Mickey Green was, how can I say, was like brothers, like real pals, real close people, yeah? Close people that, you know, you couldn't divide them. They was always together. And yet, when Mickey Green got out and Tony Edlin got out, Mickey Green just pushed him aside. Tony Edlin wanted living in a caravan in the woods. Still alive, I think, you know. But Mickey Green just pushed him aside. Well, Mickey Green could have pushed that guy forward, you know, and helped him out. But he just pushed him aside. I don't like that, you know what I mean? When, you know, so close in there. I was close, as I was close with Tony Lawrence. Tony Lawrence, to see him outside, earned some money with Tony, good man, mate. I liked him, Tony Lawrence. Frasers, I was in there with the Frasers as well. Frank and Patrick, you know, David and Patrick, good people, mate. Good people. I met Pat a few times out there. Met David a few times out there. Down at Paddington, down at what's his name of it now? Forget the name of the club down there now. But we all met Danny one day. It was a big spin. The old Bill come in and spun it all. We was all down there. David Fraser, Patrick Fraser, the old man was there as well. Yeah, fucking hell, mate. It goes back and keeps going. Tibbs's, Jimmy Tibbs, young Jimmy, good boxer, mate. Good boxer, Jimmy Tibbs. The old man Tibbs is built like a brick house, mate. He had wrists. Fucking hell. How big was his wrists? About 10 inches round. I think 12 inches. Massive wrists he had. Real big wrists, yeah. Powerful grip. He got all his hands and he went round your hands, you know. And he used to walk along the landing like big, powerful man. His son Robert, his son John and Jim. Them, all that lot, I think Robert and John got about, I don't know how long they got, 7 years, 5 years, I'm not quite sure. But the old man and young Jimmy got a lot of bird. Ruined his career, really, Jim. Jimmy Tibbs, young Jimmy Tibbs, he's trained, mate. I used to see him running around that Chelmsford prison. Mate, he was fit. I see him play rugby. He wasn't much of a player, really, but he was like, he'd knock him spark out. He was always chilling them, you know what I mean? Oh, Mickey Blackmore. It goes on. Mickey Blackmore. I mean, proper hitman, nice guy, dangerous. Mickey Blackmore, you know what I mean? Come on. There's a lot of people out there that have heard of Mickey Blackmore. Powerful man, mate, Mick. I met him outside with my father-in-law. He was very close to my father-in-law, Mick. Watkins. You know, when he died, they went in his flat and they found untold fortunes in there. A very rich man, one boy. He had money just come off him all the time. He just had it. He just come out of him, oozed out of him money, yeah. And him and Johnny Hannon had a fight. I think Johnny Hannon put it on Roy Bad, and then Johnny Hannon got bashed up by Roy. Roy hit him with a baseball bat. About each time walks into a pub and just battered just battered the bully, Hannon. But even that, Johnny Hannon wouldn't go down. He would not go on the floor, but he got bashed up bad. Well, Atkins really bashed him up. Who else is there? There's Terry Millman. Terry Millman, mate. I like Terry a lot. I really like Terry Millman. He's a guy that really kept himself to himself, even though he was always around heavy people. He kept himself to himself in a way. Fantastic painter, not painting the walls, but painting pictures. Fantastic picture painter. Him and Lou Swallow, them two together, mate. They painted so many pictures. They was only in fortunes just doing portraits, you know. As I did say before, they had a picture in their cell. It was about, I don't know, thousands of faces, and it sort of like all their faces done an actual. I don't know what it was now. It was either houses, flats, or something. All done houses with faces. They had to leave that when the Chelmsford burnt down. You know, they must have got a fortune for that. You know. Then there was Wilkinson, George Wilkinson, the guy that I had to look after, the guy they killed. They killed him. Love his art. You know, all you want to do was get back to see his mum. You know, eventually he went to see her. She didn't even recognise him, or he didn't recognise his mum because they pumped so much drugs into him. It's a shame, you know, that what I'm saying is a shame, but when you think about what they've done to people, giving them largatuals and all these sort of drugs they give them, it just zombifies you. I've had it largatual. I've got largatual shuffle, and I can't talk. I've had all that myself, yeah. And you think about what they've done to people, they give it like witty nitty, just give it you, you know. It's terrible, mate. It's terrible. A lot of these screws that are on these channels, you've got to remember they're also the people that's done all that. Give it to people. And it's all right being on a channel about, you know, about prisons and all that, but they're the ones who bash up cons. They're the ones just to give cons a jab about they didn't. Of course they did. They're involved, aren't they? You know what I mean? Especially they've been there 30, 40 years. And who else, like, oh man, I met my mate Peter Lyons. Me and him, very strong Peter. Very strong. Very, always with me. Together, he was my powerlifting team, but he was very strong. Fantastic squatter. I mean, done for really do good weights, anyway. Really do good weights in the power team for squats. But benching, deadlifts, no, it was no good. So just give him a wide berth. He didn't like it, you know what I mean? Oh, what? There's loads. There's loads and loads. Kenny Beagle, another one. Kenny Beagle. I met Kenny Beagle years and years before that in the scrubs. Kenny Beagle's always strong, man. Always been a strong, powerful man in the scrubs. Got me on the power team. But when I met him, eventually met him in Chelmsford prison, mate. He was a force. He was a force, Ken. He was like in good shape. In good shape, mate. But, you know, I mean, really the best one that I've ever met in Chelmsford, I think, was the old man Bender, Ronnie Bender. Ronnie Bender, mate, was nice. Everybody that met Ronnie Bender liked him, you know. He never took no liberties. He was just nice. He was called the captain because he was a captain of everything. Where anything what went on in Chelmsford prison, like, he was the captain, no matter what. Card game, captain. Ludo, captain. Drafts, captain. Football, boxing, cricket, anything, he was the captain. I bet everybody liked him. I see a couple of guys that got leery with Ronnie Bender, and he told them off, yeah. big time. But no one was in the cell. It was only me and Tibs, young Tibsy, told Ronnie Bender off. Ronnie Bender told them off. And they went. One of them come back and had a go at one. He took him in a recess and battered him, mate. He battered him. Ronnie Bender battered him. Really, really battered him bad. The guy got shipped out because the guy became dangerous. Because Ronnie Bender bashed him up, he got caught walking around with a glass, snap glass, used it as a knife, wrapped round with cloth and all that, and sellotape, and wanted to stab Ronnie Bender up, but he got shipped out, mate. The geezer's a lunatic, you know what I mean? But when you think of guys like Lou Swallow a lot of Rasputin, yeah. But him, Toby, Terry Millman, and a few others used to walk about together. They were a little handful, yeah. And Lou Swallow, the greatest thing, I said it before, the greatest thing he used to do every Sunday, only Sunday because of the boiled eggs, yeah. He used to put maybe 2 or 3 boiled eggs up his backside and go and hatch them out, yeah? Seriously, hatch them out. And it was something like everybody waited for it because I was on the hot plate anyway, so every Sunday he used to do it, and the screws got sick of it, In the end, they put it on Lou, And it's like, when I think about George Wilkinson, that they're giving him so much medication he didn't know what he was doing. And when he smashed the television up, and all that look went mad, and he went down the block, and he didn't have a patchy cell. They didn't have a padded cell. All they had was mattresses. And he was in there, and I went to see him. And the chief said to me, he's got to go. And later on, he smashed up the Ville, I think. But in the end, they gave him so much drugs that they killed him, They killed him. They killed him in prison, mate. They, just absolutely killed him. I think if he was like, what it is with the authorities and the system, if they think someone's going to be naughty, they then put them on drugs. Don't give them a chance. Don't give them a chance. You got to understand, when they put you on drugs, and in the end, they try to wean you off it, and it's too late. The drugs have got hold of you, and that's what turns you a bit nutty. That's when it becomes dangerous. George became dangerous. When he went into one, he was like an animal, yeah? He was like a lion. It was very, very dangerous. You couldn't control him. It's impossible, yeah? Too mad. But in the gym, he was weak. He was just weak. When he had to go in there and not think of doing anything else, but if you wound him up in the gym, if you got on his fucking head and he would just, he would throw weights about, he would just pick them up and throw them all over the place. That strength. Yeah, man. Chelmsford prison was a mad. I had a mate in there, right? And I got a picture of all us with a weightlifting bar, and there's a few people there, and there was a guy there, blacks his face out, yeah? His name's Sid Tomlinson. Sid was always in my cell, Sid. He was on B-Wing, and he came to my cell, done my cell up. I had everything, seriously. I had like a swabber unit, brought in a little sofa, a little deck chair, a little chair, beautiful from the officer's mess. And Sid Tomlinson, there was something funny about Sid, because when we had the photograph of all of us, right, he blocked the face out. He didn't want no one to know who he was. So what is he in it for, Sid? Sid Tomlinson, we go back a long way, man, Sid. Peter Lyons, Sid, there's loads. But I'm going to stop now. Bang, bang, rail, nice one.